Maruti Suzuki XL6. What this basically is the Ertiga with a new name, with a new face, and with a new network. Well, actually, it's the Nexa network, the premium network of Maruti Suzuki, where this will be sold, because this car is about the Ertiga going premium. Now, the Ertiga has been one of the star performers for Maruti. It's not been our car of the year for nothing. In fact, this has been one of the star performers of the entire auto industry, which is down in the dumps. This is probably one of the very few models, the older models, which still has a pull in the market. And that pull is actually towards the top end. Maruti also feels this car has a lot more headroom, and by that I mean not in the cabin but in the market. Now there's a lot of gap between this car and the Toyota Innova, and that's the gap Maruti wants to fill. It wants to take it closer to the Innova. Now that is quite a stretch, but Maruti has done a fair bit to this car. So we're going to have a look at all the changes outside and inside to tell you if this car is premium enough. And to make it premium, Maruti has given the XL6 lots of SUV cues, and from the front it actually looks quite good. The grille is huge and something you won't miss. The headlights with DRLs have a techie feel to them, and the high bonnet along with the scuff plates in the front give the XL6 a more macho stance. You have robust scuff plates at the rear too, but the SUV look is far from convincing with the Ertiga's huge MPV-like tailgate. But it's from the side that the design is really messed up. An overdose of cladding has knocked the XL6 proportions well for a 6 and has only served to dwarf the 16-inch wheels, which look really puny. The design now cries out for 17 inches at least. Well, let's see what the changes are on the inside. So the talking point of the XL6 are these captain seats, which is what makes it a 6-seater. And first impressions, very, very comfortable. Lots of under thigh support. Lower back support is also good. You can recline the seat. You've got a retractable armrest. And the overall seating position is absolutely superb because you sit in a slightly elevated way. Lots of outside visibility, these huge windows, you can see outside. So overall comfort really here is fantastic. If anything, it doesn't have quite the width of the Innova, but don't forget that the Crista is that much more expensive. It's in definitely more than a class above. But honestly, even for large people, it's so comfortable in here that for corporates, this is a place they could be very, very happy. The seats trimmed in artificial leather have a nice double stitching and perforated finish and feel pretty upscale for an 11 lakh odd MPV. The all-black interior theme, ashwood finished inserts in the dash and the knitted roofliner add to the upmarket feel. Like in the Ertiga, you'll be surprised by the space you have in the third row, and the adjustable backrests make a world of a difference. Practicality too is largely unchanged, and you have lots of decent storage space throughout the cabin. There's a useful underfloor compartment. There's room for a couple of bags with all seats in place, and that of course multiplies with the third row folded down, but the middle pair of captain seats don't fold like the bench seat in the Ertiga. But what the captain seats do offer is enough room between them to let you wiggle your way to the back, which at times is a more convenient way to access the third row. The XL6 comes with just one engine option. It's a 1.5 litre petrol which develops 105 horsepower. It's carried straight off the Ertiga. But what is not carried over from the Ertiga is the 1.5 diesel. It's a shame that that fabulous 1.5 diesel does not make it into this car. And a lot of you must be wondering why. Well, there are fundamentally two reasons. It's cost and bandwidth. Because even when you have to put a diesel engine in or put any engine into a car like this, it means it has to be recalibrated, validation has to be done. That's a costly affair and that takes up a lot of time. And everyone knows Maruti is going to be exiting the diesel segment, so the company feels that just for a couple of months it's just not worth that effort and cost to put a diesel engine in here. Really a shame, because that is a fabulous diesel engine. But this 1.5 petrol is now gone to BS6, because that's what Maruti is working on. It's converting all its engines to BS6. And this BS6 engine, quite frankly, doesn't feel very different from the earlier Ertiga. It's been calibrated really well. It's a smooth power delivery, very linear power delivery. The only issue is that it's got that same flat mid-range. There's really no punch in the mid-range, and that's why when you want to overtake on the highway, you can't just put your foot down and it just goes forward effortlessly. You need to shift down and, floor it a bit. So that's really the downside of this petrol, but it's otherwise smooth, and also it loves to be revved. In fact, you push it hard, it takes a bit of a nice throaty note. It sounds pretty good. I like it. Yes, you do need to rev this engine to get the most out of it, and you miss that surge of power in the mid-range which only a turbo engine gives you. But for regular commuting, this engine more than does the job. So I've jumped into the automatic variant of the XL6, which uses the same 4-speed auto carried over from the Ertiga. It's a torque converter. It's quite an old school automatic, so a bit lazy in its responses. And it works best on part throttle, where it can just amble along. And as a family car in the city, the XL6 auto is pretty good actually. And even when you floor it, kickdown is pretty okay. It's just that with 4 gears, it doesn't make the maximum use of this engine's power and torque. And even efficiency obviously won't be as good as a manual or a DCT or even AMT auto for that matter. I'm back in the manual variant, which I prefer, and I'm ambling happily down the Jaipur-Delhi highway, where the XL6 feels quite at home. There's really no difference between the XL6 and the Ertiga when it comes to driving dynamics. The engines are the same, suspension is the same, so it's got that same kind of mature ride and handling. Obviously not a very sporty vehicle, MPVs aren't supposed to be, but there's a nice heft to the steering, which we really liked in the Ertiga, and we're reacquainted with that over here. The ride also quite mature, only the big potholes can upset it a bit, but otherwise a very pliant, a very mature ride in the sense that it feels very stable, very secure, and great for cruising. And speaking about cruising, the one thing the XL6 gets which the Ertiga doesn't have is cruise control. And I'm not sure how useful that is on our roads where it's hard to keep a steady speed, but yeah, I mean, on this open stretch it's not so bad. So here I have just set it. It is a smidgen below 80 kph. Just before that annoying beep comes, the speed limiter warning. I'm not sure if it saved lives, but it's sure as hell killed the fun. The other thing the XL6 gets is Maruti Suzuki's Smart Play Studio, which is their latest infotainment system. It's got some connected features which we'll have a look at in a bit. The 7-inch touchscreen is fairly slick and easy to use, and you can also add in Suzuki Connect as an option that brings eSIM based connected tech, which is the new trend these days. You get all the features like music streaming, weather updates, and more. Through the app, you can keep a track of your driving style and send maps to your car and even geofence it. But the best party trick you find in other connected cars of remotely starting the engine and turning on the aircon isn't available. But let's not forget that for the price, this is still a very loaded car. The XL6 is essentially a spruced up version of the very capable and competent Ertiga, so that's a great starting point. Yes, it does lose the superb 1.5 diesel engine, but the smooth and fuss-free 1.5 petrol does suit the more premium character. The petrol manual Alpha trim is a touch pricey, and there's a bit of a premium too to pay for the automatics. But your money does go a long way. It's well equipped, spacious, easy to drive, and very practical. And if it's 6 seats you want, this is the best car you can get for the money.